your 1v1 is going to lose, or at least just go like meh compared to mine. I am going to make sure I dominate when it comes to the 4-man and cripple Fnatic's manipulation of that, because we know they're weak overall.
I'm actually really interested to see the build that we have on Vala. We've seen a couple of scenarios.
Wumby has a fan. Wumby has a fan.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the screen there.
I just think
We'll tell him later.
Now kiss. That's all. You go. Now kiss.
Kiss cam?
Just put him together.
Bring it to esports.
Oh man, but I don't know. I think this is the first game I can say I like Misfits draft more than Fnatic's, or at least I can say I feel it's a 50-50 for the first time in this series.
Wow.
Which makes me, with the map being so poor for Fnatic, I feel like I'm leaning towards Misfits in the series.
All right, well, it is time for game number 4 between Misfits and Fnatic. How do you feel about these drafts, Gillyweed and Trick?
That's an interesting question, Jake. We were talking about that ourselves. Trick, what are you thinking about this solo Leo strat that Misfits has with the TAS Vala?
It's a strat that actually works a lot, especially here in Europe. Dragonshire is one of the battlegrounds that we just go super to the late game on, no matter what. Most teams believe that when it comes to Dragonshire, especially when you have Ragnaros on your team, you can hold on for a long time. So you get that Spectral Leech at level 20, and all you gotta do is just play safe until then. It will be roughly hard to play safe against Fnatic with their composition. They have the Varian into Chromie, which in my mind is a pseudo-temporal loop, especially before after level 4 to level 10. So you get that nice setup for combo, and then you have that Grey Mane finisher that can jump in and bring some damage out. I actually would like to see you to go for the throw. I know we mentioned it in game number 1, just to finish off those kills. There's a lot of squishy targets here that have decent health pools that Grey Mane and Chromie can just chunk through. Nonetheless, we've begun.
We have begun both teams here in the mid lane. Once we see them clear out the waves, we'll see how the teams want to set up their solo laner. Of course, it should be Nurok up at the top as that Ragnaros probably. We'll see Wubby respond by going up to join him on Tyrael, and that is they start to move up. But Misfits in a control. Lumpy slowing down rotations from Breeze, forcing Malfurion and Chromie to move all the way around to get to this rotation. And that just further allows Misfits to control this spot, just like we saw them do early on Tomb as well.
Hoping to control that area. Nurok potentially having some pressure on the top, playing safe though, realizing someone peeled off from the middle lane for Fnatic. The wave clear for Misfits is pretty darn strong here with Tassadar in the middle, Lumpy rotating between the lanes. Having Ragnaros in the top is also going to be pretty solid against that Tyrael. So our Shrines to be activating in the next 5 seconds. I want to see Shrimp PP a little bit aggressive with his time trap, try to set that up before that actually occurs. However, he just had it used in the middle lane there as he was controlling it. 2 in the top lane. Quack next and Wubby, hoping to put some pressure on Nurok, but with that safe play we've seen from him, he's just fine here. Fnatic will be able to start grabbing the bottom shrine.
Generally, when you know a team has outmatched you in that 4-1, moving rotations between mid-bot, that's when you see a team try to change up some of their rotations in whatever way they can to stop your opponents from just being dominant through that. Because if you can't, they're just going to drain the towers of ammo, and then it becomes a problem for you to try to contest the shrines. Lumpy is going to start to move in. Breeze doesn't have Warbringer yet, so they're waiting until they can get 4 before Fnatic can start to go for these kill potentials. And we do have Moonburn for Smexy, so he's giving up Scouting Drone to be able to help supplement his team's wave clear just a little bit.
I like that. I like that combo with Chromie in particular. 1, you can have the Moonburn to help out with the wave clear, but you need the wave clear because of Chromie. And 2, in a way, Time Trap, if you put it in that bush in the top right, is a Scouting Drone. Someone will walk through it. They don't know it's there unless they use an AoE ability, but it reveals that you've used that AoE ability. So not a bad pickup here for Smexy, really aiding and working together as a team. Fnatic is. Now, we have 3 in the bottom left, putting pressure on these 2 members, just Malfurion and Chromie in the bottom. So both shrines have been grabbed. A 3rd will finally join the party as Breeze runs down with that Warbringer.
Yeah, Misfits are having a heck of a time trying to steal away this bottom shrine from Smexy, Breeze, and Schwimpy. Splendor gets charged. Schwimpy moving in, may throw the Dragon's Breath. Yeah, it does throw it on the tower instead. So Splendor's going to have to go back, but still no kills just yet. But this whole entire time was a clever distraction to let Wubby pick up the Dragon Knight.
That's right. You look bottom and we'll run top. Wubby applying the pressure. Now, remember, this is the early Dragon. We always talk about it on Dragonshire, but sometimes you need a reminder. You only want to grab turrets here. You're not going to grab too much. It's not the most durable vehicle in the game at 3 minutes in. So watch for Fnatic to spread out and apply pressure in different lanes. We have Grey Mane in the middle. We have Shwimpy down here in the bottom, working in some attacks when he can, focusing Tassadar, because if you get Tassadar low, suddenly he has to play more reserved, and you might miss that shield that you would normally get on a Vala.
Trick, we saw just how important early game was to Fnatic in the last game on Tomb of the Spider Queen because of Misfits' strong late game presence, and there was one play that completely opened up the game for Misfits. Do you feel it's the same here for Fnatic, that they have to be very aggressive and strong and get a lot done before Misfits get to those late game power spikes?
Oh, I could see that here. The one thing that's missing is that we have Greymane and Chromie and Varian on the right side, so they get isolation like crazy. Tyrael also Sanctification means that Fnatic can be hyper-aggressive after level 10. When we do get to the point Karazim gets 16 and cleanse like crazy, then you can have Misfits start to overstep their bounds a little bit because you know you have that in their back pocket. But Fnatic just seems to really enjoy being more aggressive lately, especially the more we see him in the HGC, because EU slowed down a lot. There's always these moments where we're going to these late games, there's a lot of posturing, a lot of dancing, and Fnatic seems to be enjoying the discipline and being more aggressive, and it works out for them. We see him do very well in the early game. I even think they had that game won, to be honest, on 2 minute Spider Queen. They just missed out on a few auto attacks because they were being a little too cute. So just this game, be more disciplined and make sure you set yourself up. Here comes a great engage here from Breeze. He goes in for the dive. Splinter taking damage, will Radiant dash away, but still, you see the potential of the damage and the setup. The pseudo-temporal loop for Schwimpy with the engage from Breeze is a very powerful.
Right, and even if they're not able to get the kill off of that once Temporal Loop comes in, if that is the possibility or the heroic, we're still waiting to see. Now it's going to be a Slowing Stance, so even though they don't have Temporal Loop, they can still throw Slowing Stance behind the target, and then they're going to have to spend either time running around it or through it, slowed down. Might be the difference of being able to net Fnatic these kills that they've been so close to getting so far.
Yeah, same reasoning as last game. There's a Karazim here with a level 16. It's too strong against Temporal Loop. It's really hard to actually utilize it in the late game. So just going for the slowing stance is much better, and you have your pseudo with the variant charge in. So now we're moving towards level 10. The clear has started to slow down a little bit for our teams, but Shrine's activating should put pressure on the battleground once again. So I want to watch the rotations between Fnatic in particular as we get closer to level 10. A 1 or 2 pickoffs could be great for them because it gets them closer to that level 10 so they can make a power play to finally get a fort.
Rotation starting to come in here in the bottom lane. Splinter gets hit by Sandblast. Breeze chooses not to charge at that point. Happy to pick up the Shrine. Once again, Fnatic controlling both of them. But Blumby is in middle, slowing down, not allowing Greymane to pick up the Dragon Knight, at least at this moment.
Charge in on Hasselhoff's low on health. Schwimpy setting up the Sandblast is not connected. He's currently invisible with that dimensional shift, but they have opened up the middle, the dragon being available. Blumby taking some harass here. Quacknix not immediately going for the dragon, trying to work down Blumby so it gets to a point where he doesn't want to deal with potentially an all-in kill that could happen, especially with 10 on the horizon. Schwimpy on the left side, there goes the stun, and we're gonna have Splendor coming out with the death as Chromie is able to hit the abilities.
And just as both teams got heroic abilities, with the difference again being that Chromie had Slowing Sands for 2 levels, threw it down. Finally, the first blood coming in at 6 minutes, 40 seconds. You warned me that this could be a long game. Is it shaping out as such?
Yeah, it's going to be. For Fnatic in particular, it's very hard for them to actually push down forwards without the dragon. Granted, they have Greymane, so you're like, Trick, what are you talking about? But Chromie without the wave clear, Varian without the wave clear, it's actually very hard to actually get into a spot where you can take down a fort without risking deaths. So the dragon, they need to have that control. On the other side, Misfits has done a better job here with the Vala, the York that can be in the front to tank that aggression. They can be a bit more aggressive. So yes, it's going to be a long game just based on the comps that we have. Dimensional Shift is not available apparently. Tassadar gets picked off and Fnatic just taking kills left and right.
Yeah, Tassadar was taunted to oblivion with so much damage there again. It started out really well. Misfits had Blumby move back in, stall one more time for the Dragon Knight, but the rotation from Breeze was so swift to get a Tassadar kill. But Webby is low in the top lane, so for now, that will be Misfits' vestige of hope that they can continue to stop Fnatic from getting the Dragon Knight as long as they need to, because they needed Tassadar to be able to respawn and get back in.
Ragnaros continuing to control that top lane. Tyrael having a hard time, especially with the slow rotations that keep happening. We've had Vala head up there now just to set up for that Tyrael, and Ragnaros is elected to move down to the bottom left. Big rotation here from the Misfits, and it looks like they want to actually have an engage and have some burst available. Entomb into Sulfura Smash is a upfront kill over a Vala kill. So the Ragnaros rotation, while it may seem odd, it's good against Chromie. When she uses her Sandblast, you can actually just queue up that Sulfura Smash and destroy. Now, of course, timeout is normally picked up, but we have reaching through time here for Fnatic. So that means Sulfura Smash is that more deadly.
Very true. Schwimpy will have to be watching out And so will Karzim, but Splinter gets the palm. Gets rooted again, though. He's still in the slowing sands. Beautiful taunt. And even with the divine palm, Fnatic still picks up a kill. Constantly getting the kills at the right time that they need to have a one-man advantage so that they can try to get this next Dragon Knight.
And the use of abilities was beautiful there. If there was ever a moment where we could have had Karazim actually use Radiant Dash, he would have gotten away. But the root stopping him into the immediate stun slash taunt from Varian locked him down long enough for Chromie to get the takedown. Now, another Dragon awarded to Fnatic. The control has just been too much. 13 to 12, and Quacknex is looking for a push here in the middle. Usually you want to use that Molten Core in the middle because you can actually siege down the Dragon as it rotates between the bottom and the top side, and it's also easier for Ragnaros to rotate out when he comes out of it. So you usually push down the middle, force Ragnaros to actually happen, and then rotate to a different lane. So nice textbook play here for Fnatic. They can look towards this fort.
Misfits took what they could out of that Dragon Knight pickup for Fnatic. Wubby had to sacrifice himself to stay in the top. There was an Entomb on Smexy. Blumby, though, caught because Quacknex was body blocking so many members of Misfits from being able to do much more with the Entomb. So that is one cooldown down, though it is a short one.
Yeah, but Tyrael falling victim earlier. Fnatic is having to wait it out. Not really applying too much pressure. Using the Dragon to clear out the waves in the middle and the top so they keep that experience lead. But had Tyrael been there, they could have matched against the 5v5 there. Hasselabs, look at that Chromie focus. If he ever does get hit with the Dragon's Breath into the Sandblast, down to almost a quarter health.
It's scary, but again, once Misfits ramp up and get into the later game, there's going to be a lot of shielding available from Tassadar. They've been liking to get that shield battery at 20 to supplement as well as to help Karazim with his heals too. So it is a scary point, but all of the forts remain for Misfits, so that is a very nice thing for them. Only half level down to Fnatic.
Mercenaries grabbed here on the left side. And this is why we go to late game. Look at all the forts currently up for both our teams. One team usually can control the early game well, but you can't break down a fort with the Ragnaros being there, that Molten Core. So they have to wait to a point where the game actually has a situation where death timers are elongated to the 40 to 45 second mark for you to actually make a play. So that's why we see our drafts actually moving towards those late game scenarios. Control for Fnatic. Working out well, though, as they grab the Mercs in the bottom. They can apply some pressure. They are looking to maybe take their first for the game here at 11 minutes. And with no rotation from Misfits, they just push in the top here to take their own.
Misfits trying to open up and match the siege of Fnatic. It's not ideal. It is the top lane, but it does give them valuable experience. But Fnatic, very, very close to 16, can continue to put on the pressure with these bruisers in the bottom lane, taking out towers and getting their 16 talent here, forcing the backs. Only Ragnaros is still up at the top to guarantee that fort.
Yep, slowing sands on the back left, also give vision. There's a big engage here. Taunt going down. Palm does pop out to help out with the engage here for Darkmox, so he will survive. So nice job there by Splinter. Blumby goes for the Entomb, but sadly, he misses out on the engage, and that will stop the counterattack from the Misfits.
First combo not quite in sync with Taunt, but the great Palm 2 from Splinter ensures that Greymane stays alive, or that one stays alive, but it's going to be Nurok who's in trouble, so Fury smashed to follow up, knowing he was going to die, to see if maybe his teammates could follow up. Breeze dives back in, slowing Sand still on the retreat path.
Yep, still on the left side there, revealing if anyone actually touches that well, and Chromie is continuing to poke. Wubby has snuck off and grabbed the bottom shrine, though. And do look, 16 to 15. Fnatic has a nice advantage here. 5 to 4, the map is open for them. They have Chromie in the middle, so if they get any good poke here, and they make another person get weak, they can take the Dragon for absolutely free. There is a scuffle, though, in the bottom left of these Giants. I actually like this move from Fnatic. They made that move to run to the bottom left of Giants to make Misfits pull away so they can sneak someone to the middle to grab the Dragon. Ugh, that was such a great rotation.
Another Dragon Knight for Fnatic. Let's see how much success it brings them. They've already taken out the fort in the bottom lane. Getting a kill with this would be icing on the cake, but Misfits are at least going to be able to get their Giants in the nick of time. So now Fnatic moves back up with the Dragon Knight here. Going to siege in the mid, gives them a little bit of experience, and again, just opening up the battleground.
Also, continuing to get poked here. Here's the Molten Core. Now, they can make the decision here to go full all in on this actual Ragnaros Molten Core, burn it down quickly. They're kind of teetering on the side here. Breeze taking some damage, getting poked, but Smexy will keep him alive for now with the health, and Schwimpy continues to poke that choke there. So suddenly, Misfits has to decide as a unit to move through that choke and maybe get hit by a Dragon's Eye, or they have to go all the way around, and they have looked to go all the way around and give up space here. So Fnatic is able to get a big concave. Greymane's on the way to join in.
Seems like the right decision to be able to make the safe rotation. Wubby's still fairly healthy with this Dragon Knight. trying to start throwing down the Dragon's Breath and put pressure onto the keep.
Oh, Dark Ball!
The damage! Palm is there too, though. Breeze barely in there and finally takes out Vala.
Not enough for Twilight Dream, and more coming out for Fnatic. They are looking hungry. Quacknick's getting the attack, and Splinter on the left. Another Dragon's Eye coming in. We have Blumby on the right. He will be able to escape, but only an Archon and a Skeleton to defend. This keep is getting focused down. Fnatic gets another pick here as well.
Tim, there are 4 members down for 20 more seconds. Only Leoric remains. Fnatic jumping on top of the core. It's only 14 minutes in. They have 18 to 16.
Quacknick's get on the core. Leave Leoric alone. Just get on the core here. Okay, so he gets into there at the last second here. 8 seconds until Vala does pop in. Fnatic is going for it. Could we have an early Dragonshire game? Vala up in 3 seconds. Breeze has position here to go for a taunt into a Warbringer to stop his team. Quacknick's working in the auto attack. This might just be game. So Fierce Match comes out. Darkblock working the attack. That's it. Fnatic takes it 3-1.
Fnatic victorious in our winners finals of the Western Clash over Team Misfits. It looked scary for them momentum-wise.
Yes.
They lost that last game. It was a demoralizing loss that they were so close to taking it out, but able to rally together as a unit. And they will move on to the grand finals.
Deservedly so. There was some worry that maybe after that 2-month Spider Queen, there could have been a little bit of tilt, and suddenly Misfits would be in a spot where they can come back as such a prestige team. But Fnatic looked at themselves, ready to play their strategies, took a deep breath, came into Dragonshire, and looked dominant from start to finish. Their solid ending, and again, they'll be in the grand finals waiting to find out who they'll be facing off against between Team 8, Misfits, and Dignitas.
1 grand final spot secured by a team who I would be terrified to play against, Tim. Their synergy is on point, able to rally together. They look like, man, the BlizzCon Fnatic, they're just fantastic.
Yes, the early game aggression in particular is great to see from Fnatic. They are working in strategies to make sure that they have an early game lead. They can control the map from there. It's not even like wave clear like we've seen in the past. Regardless, let's head to Paul out front, find out what he thinks about the matchup.
Yes, thank you very much. With Quack, I jokingly said to you when you walked over to me, this is looking kind of easy. And you said, should have been a 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we talked about it yesterday. Once again, we had the opportunity and the chance to straight up 3-0 them very clean, but I would say I threw that game pretty hard, and then we choked a bit, and just small misplays that, small misplays that give them so much because we're so far ahead, but yeah, we're doing good.
It's the only map you've lost so far at HGC Western Clash, the only map you've dropped, and only 7% separating you as well. I want to talk to you as well about this whole mentality thing, because last year you gained a reputation, rightfully or wrongly, that sometimes when you were 2-0 up, games would get lost that shouldn't have been lost. And does that creep into your mind when you lose a game like that? How do you come back to going, okay, we can still do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a bit scary since in the history it has happened so many times. But I mean, we are feeling, it should have been our games, as I'm saying. So once again, we're feeling we're the way stronger team today, and we just have to say whatever, go next, just focus on next game, because we know if we get our draft and play good, we're gonna win.
And in terms of the draft, yesterday you focused very much on we're going to get what we want. How did that work out for you today against a team who are very strong sometimes against the draft?
Obviously, there's some bit different variation. Like we have to prioritize a bit different since they know some of the stuff we are going into. You can see some deep bans coming out early, whilst with NA we could just pull them out. They had no idea they would come and so on. So there's a bit. It's just different priorities, but I think overall we still got what we wanted today, and we have more, and yeah, it should be enough for us because the enemy has so many things they should fear at this point that we should be really fine in drafts.
So through the grand final, any preference on the other 3 teams that you could end up playing?
I want to play Dignitas, I feel, since we played Misfits right now, so I want to show that we can beat the other top 3 team as well, and yeah.
Well, congratulations. Fnatic are through to our grand final a little bit later on here at HGC Western Clash. They are also 9 series in a row without defeat. What a terrific upper bracket final. Let's find out what their analysts made of that.
You know, give it up for Fnatic once again. After such an amazing series, these guys really deserved it. We always talk about their tendency in the past to tilt after a loss, and that was not the case in game number 4. But let's jump into that series talking about it. Now, one of the things that you discussed in the draft, Dreadnought, was the Kerosene pick as that last slot. What was the impact of that?
I mean, it came out to nothing really, considering mainly because Misfits did not take advantage of the fact that they could have had a dominant format. They did very little with it, and they're waiting for that 16 mark, and it hit that middle ground post 8 where Chromie suddenly becomes, you know, a terrifying hero. She's got a heroic, she can make big plays, and they did that, exactly that, with the Varian, with the Chromie, and nobody had an answer.
Well, Kaldor, walk us through some of these last moments of that game.
Well, there was the Dragonite, and this is where Shrimpy's disgusting damage output is just absolutely incredible. I mean, just look at this. He's killing them left and right. First of all, we have the Pam, which I actually think was one of the reasons why they went into the Karazim over the Rhaegar. But at the same time, like, there's one hit after another from Chromie, and they're getting kill after kill. There's 3 kills against 0 at this point. The Dragonite is down, but they don't care anymore. And just watch Hazorps here. He's actually trying to escape, but once again, Breeze goes in, bam, and he's gone. And therefore, we have an open door. They go through the keep, go for the core, and that's it.
I was sitting backstage, me and Grubby were watching this together, and I was like, I think I need to go back up to the desk now because something could happen here. 1 pick, 2 pick, just like he said, he could not miss.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Shrimpy definitely confirmed that he's the best Chromie in Europe at this point. That is absolutely insane.
Can you say world? Because I don't see many people playing Chromie.
Okay, I'll say Shrimpy definitely the best Chromie in the world there. I mean, he literally made that game at this point. He just went in and took them down. There was the quick palm and everything, delays him for just a second, and the next one hits, the next one hits. He just doesn't miss.
It was pretty nasty. I don't even know what you do against that.
I mean, the best part about it when talking about, like, you know, what Shrimpy, the impact he actually had is, like, again, they didn't take advantage of the early 4. They hit 8, they got a couple of kills, and then Fnatic opened up the window. That game ended just as Misfits is hitting 16. Yeah. The main reason to go the Karazim pick over anything else, right? You do have the Palm, and yes, the Palm can stop, but again, we just watched the Palm save the target, and they're dead. Like, it's the cooldowns for Chromie are shorter than that of Palm, so much so, like, and the target's gonna land exactly where they died in the first place. Chromie's just like, I'll take Q number 1, I'll take Q number 2. It's just asking for it. That's not even counting the variant setup.
And that, yeah, but the setup is actually a really important one as well.
Yeah.
Breeze was always there communicating with him and saying, like, dude, I got this. So he jumps in, gets the stun, and there's the damage right away. And talking about the cleanse for just a moment on the 16, we're actually mentioning a lot that we could see the time loop on Chromie. So far, Shrimpy hasn't even thrown that out because he just says, especially on 20, my level 20 is going to slow them down so hard. I get so much value out of it in these fights. And you could actually tell every time Karazhan jumps in to try and cleanse someone, even before that, there was immediately the slow stance, and then he tried to get out, and he was just like, guys, I can't get away from this.
Yeah, that's such a cool adjustment for them. We saw it with the Bloodlust in game number 3. Almost got the victory there. Game 4, we saw the power of slowing sense controlling the space. Who's the playmaker for you? Who's the number 1? Is it just Shrimpy? We said him after the start of the series.
I think I am most sold. For me, it has to be either Wubby or Breeze. I feel like their front line makes the back line, at least in that series specifically. Like Shrimpy, yes, he has the flashy plays. He's the one doing the damage, but I feel like a lot of the times it's the Holy Grounds, it's the Sanctifications, and it's the Variant Charges that are really winning these games for Fnatic.
They're on point. I mean, every step of the way they're on point. And like Paul said, 7% only separated them from a 3-0. I mean, but Misfits, I mean, they showed poise. It's not like it was an easy series for Fnatic, and you know, Misfits not out of it. We've talked a lot about Fnatic, and rightfully so, but this could be a rematch.
Did you see how annoyed he was when he talked about their mistakes? When he just like said, yeah, we should have had it the 3-0, then he analyzes real quickly, takes full the blame and everything, and then says how they actually made a couple of bad calls after that, but how annoyed he was that they just lost this one map. But he said, like, once again, we don't secure the 3-0, even though they won the series convincingly.
Beautiful competitor mentality.
Yeah.
I almost envy it, really. It's just the fact that you can look at your play, you can be so dominant, you can be now probably heavily projected as the number 1 of this tournament, and you still are looking yourself not satisfied. You know, with that, you wonder why Fnatic's rising to the top of not only Europe, but it seems like the world. That mentality is exactly why.
But I also feel this was a major step, because we talked about how dangerous it is. Paul talked about it with Quackness himself, and he said, like, yeah, it's in our head, it's in our minds. And a win like this, that gives confidence. Next time it happens, they know, guys, don't worry. Even if we lose one, we still got this.
You know what else gives confidence? Beating MVP Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would carry that around everywhere I go.
Absolutely. Well, Fnatic, the first team to qualify for the grand finals, confirming at least a top 2 place here in the tournament. We want to know what you guys think about our next series. It's going to be Dignitas versus Team A in the lower bracket. Head to Twitter, use the hashtag HGC, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
King has fallen. A father. A friend. A warrior. Defender of the Alliance. He was a beacon of hope. A leader without measure. A man who would never accept defeat. He was our shield against the storm. Wherever he has gone, Varian Rin will remain a hero. Always.
experience has taught the Protoss that when we do not fight together, we die alone. But we shall not see defeat this day. For we stand as one. Our differences will not divide us, but make us stronger. Together, we will defend the Nexus with honor and earn our glory. I am Hierarch Artanis, leader of all Protoss. And in unity, there is strength.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the HGC Western Clash for 2017. Are you excited for Heroes of the Storm? Rubbish. Terrible, terrible. And there's so many of you out there. Are you ready for some more Heroes of the Storm? Much better, much better. Good, okay, good. 3 matches left now here to crown our champion for the first time in 2017 in the Western Clashes. And there are, of course, 4 teams still remaining. We know one of our grand finalists. It's time now to eliminate another team in the lower bracket. Our 2 teams next up have been fighting hard through that lower bracket. One has been very unfamiliar indeed, but one perhaps didn't even expect to be here at the HGC Western Clash. Our first team out, a teammate.
Preparing for IEM Katowice was pretty interesting. We're a pretty young team. This is obviously our first LAN event. So going into this event, I'd say our biggest style and preparation is we wanted to get as good at standard play as possible. The upcoming matchups between Europe and North America, for me, I guess my opinion's different than what most people in the community have, but I think that Europe overall is the stronger region right now. For us to perform well, it's our first LAN as a team. The biggest factor, honestly, is just drafting what we're comfortable playing. And we've been focusing really hard on broadening what that is, but that's the #1 factor. We have to be comfortable on stage or else we won't perform.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last surviving North American team. Please welcome Team 8. They are in do or die. It's win or go home. So, as we head into our second team, they are a brilliant team from 2016, triple European champions. However, they found themselves in unfamiliar territory in the lower bracket. They are Team Dignitas.
Last year, IM Katowice, we actually won it. So to come back here again for a big Heroes tournament where we have a real shot at winning feels great. I've seen the stage. It looks even better than last year, so I'm really excited to get on there and play. We prepared really hard for this event. We boot camped in Berlin in the Case King boot camp, and that was a really positive experience for our team. It was the first time with this lineup of 5 that we've really gotten to be together in person and really just work towards improving. I think the favorites of this tournament are the big 3 from Europe. So we've got Misfits, who are probably most people's expectation. I personally don't agree with that so much. Fnatic, obviously a very strong team as well, and us, Team Dignitas. The big difference for us in this tournament is that we're bringing a coach. We recently brought on Dunktrain to try out as our coach, and so far it's been a really positive experience, and I think that's going to be the edge that we need.
Ladies and gentlemen, the champions of Katowice in 2016, Team Dignitas!
Day 3 of the Western Clash, and 4 teams remain. Those teams mostly as expected, 3 from Europe and 1 from North America, although some questioned who that NA team would be. Team Dignitas topped the standings in the region. Gale Force Esports promised surprise, but it was quietly Team 8 who were able to make it to this point playing their own game. But to go any farther, they must defeat a European team. The silver lining, they have taken 1 game off of Dignitas before. Grubby, what do Team 8 need to do to actually win this series versus Team Dignitas?
Well, Gilly, basically continue what they have been doing. They've come here in a battling mode. They've probably played better than they ever have before. They've already taken a map from Team Dignitas. It was only a 1-2. It's a best of 5 now. They've shown excellent draft diversity so far. Keep doing what you're doing and figure out the puzzle.
Now, Trixler, we look at Europe and we saw the might of Europe in the last series. But Team Dignitas has not always shown to be that strong as Misfits and Fnatic. What do you believe they need to be able to do to close out this series, and not just close it out, but do so confidently?
I think the thing that Dignitas is missing compared to the top 2 is they don't have as much variety. Not to call out Mene, I think the team as a whole really enjoys having more mage-based compositions, but I need some variety in that regard. And I know he can play it. We've seen Zoljin in the past, we've seen Bala from him in the past as well, but they seem to really falter around this idea of we have to have a mage in our compositions. If Team 8 can pick up on that, they might be able to score a few more wins this entire series.
Tetra, you have been commentating Team Dignitas and the members of them forever, and you know them quite well. What are you looking from them individually?
Individually, I think we definitely have an incredible team in terms of star player potential. Everyone has the potential to come out and do well, but like Trix said, we need to see maybe a little bit more variety from a couple of the players. Some people on Twitter have been calling out Bakery. Personally, I disagree with that. He is basically almost unban-outable as a support at this point. But Maina, we know he likes his mages, and Zalia, he is the newest member to the team, but he has such incredible star power and such incredible potential with his individual mechanics that if they can get him into a situation where maybe he increases hero pool or just make him more comfortable, he could be the factor that gets them into that top 2 or top 1 position.
Great points you make. And hero diversity is not just an issue that maybe Team Dignitas is dealing with. It's one that we have talked about up here at the desk before for Team 8 as well. Question for the table. Same, but on the other side, what are you looking for individually? Are there any members now, because we have 4 new members to an international event for Team 8, anyone who is standing out at this point?
Well, I think Team 8's Ragnaros player, Prisma, he's been doing a fantastic job at Ragnaros. Now, it is very obvious that he's comfortable there when he can get that hero in particular. There's a very heavy prioritization for a Liming, a Ragnaros, and a Zeratul type of play from Team 8. And if they can get those, they are very comfortable. But they are also target bannable to a degree.
For me, it's Justing. I feel like Justing has shown himself up as a premier warrior for the North American scene. It used to be Fury that I looked at the most. Now I'm starting to get my eyeball on Justing for a certain reason or two. But let's look at this Battleground phase real quick.
Tetra, Battlefield of Eternity will be our first Battleground of this best of 5. This elimination match. They're all elimination matches from here on out.
This is a map that we've actually seen in the previous series of these two teams, which a lot of us thought was maybe a little bit more Team 8 favored, due to the fact Team 8 seem to like those smaller battlegrounds, those 2-lane battlegrounds a bit more. And just to expand on what Trixair said very quickly, Justing last time, yesterday in the games, he has just massively jumped up in my standings just for those last couple of plays in the last few games. Under pressure, like we said, first inter-regional event, and he just nailed it under pressure and pulls off the play to win the game.
What I love about him is that it feels like he's conditioning his opponent to play a certain way, and then he goes for the maximum punish in one game scenario that can score a win for the entire team. I love it. He's always playing one certain duration, and then the 18-minute mark hits, and he goes, what if I just switched it up a little bit and my team followed me up? And that's where they get to score.
But the following, in terms of the rest of his team, though, there is one player we should also mention, and that is Glaurung. The linchpin of this team, creating the roster, the one with interregional experience. He is a very good player, but some have accused him of maybe being a bit more ban-outable than his teammates. So maybe this is something that he needs to be careful of to make sure that his team gets him a hero he's comfortable on, or maybe he has just kept something hidden all the way up till this point.
Oh, he's got 5 really good heroes, the Haka, Tyrael, there's a number of others. So he does have a fair amount. One interesting point to note as we go into this draft is that Team Dignitas, in all of their games so far, 100% have first banned Tassadar. And I was going to predict that that's going to happen again, but we can clearly see them already deviating from that.
Yeah, and this is a ban, like we literally just said, that is a bit more focused against Glaurung with that Zeratul ban out and forcing Team 8 to take out Tassadar instead.
Li Ming is getting taken here on the side, as well as Ragnaros as my next guest. They run it on this Battleground. They run it everywhere. What is it, like 17 games can total now
Almost
with this Western Clash?
Oh my god.
One thing to note here, guys. When you ban and pick this fast, that's a statement of dominance. They're both trying to assert that over each other. They haven't even given 5 seconds per hero pick.